Thank you, gentlemen. Wow, very powerful testimony from each of you. Thank you very much. Now we'll begin the question portion of our hearing. I'll recognize myself for 5 minutes. And before I get started with my questions, I've got another question with regards to terrorist cells here in the United States. We continue to see an open border where all sorts of terrorists are pouring through. I mean, the number is staggering just so far this year that they've caught, I think, between 150 and 200 terrorists. How many got in before we even caught them? That's a concern. So does anybody have any information with regards to terrorist cells here? Yes, sir, Mr. Noronha.
In the first 14 days of this fiscal year, there were 30 individuals from Iran encountered at the southern border between border crossings, 68 from Syria. In terms of terror cells, there are active assassination plots against around a dozen Americans today, including my former bosses, Mike Pompeo, Brian Hook, John Bolton. There are
Those are existing terrorist activities. There are assassination plots right now on American citizens.
Active plots on U.S. soil. There have been close calls, and those calls have continued. Those close calls have continued even after warnings from the White House against the Iranian regime. And there are operatives here in the United States.
So are they financed from Iran, or are they financed from Hamas in Gaza?
They are primarily financed from Iran. There are bounties of between $300,000 and $1 million on the heads of John Bolton's bounty is $300K and Iran's.
So how is the money transferred? I'm assuming they're using U.S. banks to transfer the money here to allow those cells to exist and fund
those payments have been made in cryptocurrency according to DOJ filings, deposited into the accounts of would-be assassins.
And those accounts are overseas.
They are crypto accounts on the chain, on the blockchain.
So they transfer the money for the assassination plots that these cells hope to carry out in crypto.
That is correct, sir.
Holy cow. Okay. We've scratched the surface, haven't we? First question I have is with regards to the UN Security Council Resolution 2231, Iran nuclear deal. A core component of the UN Security Council Resolution 2231, commonly referred to as the Iran nuclear deal, prohibits transferring missiles, drones, and adjacent weapons technologies to and from Iran. That resolution expired 1 week ago on October 18th. As a result, the UN no longer prohibits Iran from activities related to developing nuclear weapon delivery systems, including intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs. Moreover, the UN Security Council is no longer monitoring Iran's imports and exports for items that could contribute to the nuclear program. While the US and EU decided to maintain restrictive measures against Iran, those two countries represent just a small portion of the 193 countries bound by UNSCR 2231. Mr. Goldberg, please describe the gaps that are in place as a result of the expiration of this agreement that allow Iran to buy and sell previously controlled technologies.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a really important issue. This administration has valued multilateralism as something paramount in their foreign policy. The value and legitimacy of a Security Council resolution, of working with allies, of not just having America first policies in our sanctions, but going to countries and saying, we have sanctions, we are going to enforce our sanctions, and they are in line with the Security Council resolution. One would think that if you had the ability to keep a Security Council resolution restriction on Iran with respect to the transfer of missiles and drones and conventional arms, that you would want to keep that in place. Because right now we see Iran transferring armed drones to Russia for months for use against the Ukrainian people. We see the ability of Russia now to work with Iran to advance their missile program for use against us, the United States of America, as Chairman, as you mentioned, in their long-term ambition of developing ICBMs. And so the question is, could we have avoided this gap that we now have? Last Wednesday, when the president was in Israel expressing his solidarity with the Israeli people, it was the same day he was allowing, with our European allies, that Security Council resolution restriction to expire. It actually doesn't have to expire. We can bring it back anytime we want. We can work with the UK, France, and Germany, send a letter that we can write in the back right now, Mr. Chairman. Dear Mr. President of the Security Council, we're triggering the snapback of UN sanctions, and in 30 days it all comes back, and Russia and China can't do anything about it. The only reason you wouldn't do that is either A, you're keeping the possibility of continued nuclear negotiations and a nuclear deal on the table, or B, you fear Iran's response, and therefore you're actually signaling at this moment of trying to restore deterrence that we're afraid militarily of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Anytime you allow yourself to be bullied, you're in for trouble. Just mark my words. Thank you for your testimony. With that, we'll yield 5 minutes to the ranking member, Ms. Beatty from Ohio.